This is Lisa again, bringing you love and light. Thank you all for being here today. Welcome back. I hope you all had a great day or having a great day. Happy hump day. It's Wednesday, 2 more days to go before the weekend. I hope everyone is doing well. Thank you for being here today. Today I'm going to talk about something just a little bit different. It's going to be in reference to grief. But the reason why I'm doing it a little different today because someone out there needs to hear this message. As I said in um, the prior video of yesterday, someone out there is grieving and grieving hard, and they're grieving silently a loss. And perhaps other people may not know how hard these individuals are grieving because everyone doesn't open up right away and share what they're going through and what's happening, and people could be going through something that we may not even know they're going through. And then if they don't release that pain, meaning having that outlet for it, then they stay stagnated, and then it turns into depression, and then it could lead to suicidal thoughts, and we don't want any of that, people. It's so important to heal. Now, I always talk about healing grief, but in reality, what I'm saying is that because we never get over the losses of a loved one or loss of any loved one, because we always feel that void because that person is no longer here. However, we can get through it. That's why I talk about healing grief, because we can get through the process instead of staying stagnated and just not being able to move forward. So it's important that we know that there are things that we can do to get through the process. And it's not easy. It's a lot of work. Um, so for those who are doing the work, I want to take the time to applaud you because you're on the right track. Don't expect things to happen overnight, and don't be too hard on yourself because it's going to take time. Everybody is just like a baby learning to walk. They don't just get up and walk. They take one step, fall down, get up again. Whatever you do, don't give up. Just keep moving forward. And give yourself a pat on the back when you are able to see some progress that you've made. And, be good to yourself. Nurture your inner child, and just take it one day at a time. And if you have people around you, they can't do anything to bring back that loved one. But, it's good to have somebody who can just listen to you. Keep the loved one's memory alive through storytelling. That helps a lot as well. Remember the good things that you did together, what made you happy, the funny things, and share that with people around you. I always say I'm not a therapist at all in any way, but I'm sharing my personal experiences with grief, especially losing 10 people during 2020, and how it has changed my life, and how doing the work, these little tidbits that I'm sharing help. And please get connected with a therapist in your area where you live. Google it and find a therapist that vibe with you, and then you can share your stories and things with the therapist as to how you're feeling. And if they give you work to do, do the work. Because little by little, these things are going to help you to start to feel better. And as you feel better, you start to take care of yourself, your physical and mental health, which is um, tremendously disrupted because of the losses. Also, um, I want to talk about, those who are not accepting the loss. Because in the beginning, when I lost my mother, for example, I didn't want to accept that. I said, that's not true. No, she's still here. And I was pretending like she was still here. And if I needed to talk to her, I was going to pick up the phone and call her. And the reality started to slowly set in. And that's when the pain set in because I didn't want to deal with it. I didn't want to feel the pain, any of it. and I had already lost some people before she had passed away, but it seemed like after she passed away, it was just death after death after death. And it can take a toll on you when you get a phone call, this one died, that one died, this happened, all at once, like a domino effect. It can be overwhelming. So it's always important to take care of your physical and mental health. So um, the work is painful. I'm going to share a story about myself here. I have an outline because I always want to make some points, emphasize some points here. Um, Even though I would never get over the loss of, my mother and all the other people that I lost during the shutdown, I am doing work to get better, and it's always ongoing. It's never, okay, the work is over, it's done. No, it's always something to work on. And I didn't want to be in this energy. I didn't want to do any of this until I hit the lowest point of my life. And I'll give an example without giving details. Last year, I was temporarily dating someone, and I was still in that moment of grief, not where I am today, but just there in that cloudy state of mind. Because when you're going through grief, sometimes you make mistakes that you probably wouldn't make if you wasn't going through the grief. Because sometimes you're distracted by it. And for those who've gone through this, you know what I mean. So, you know, I went on, and I don't date a whole lot, but I did this, and um, something traumatic that I found out really caught me off guard. And now I'm already grieving and going through whatever I'm going through with the grief, and then this situation occurred, and this thing had me on the floor. Let me tell you. And it was just overwhelming, and I didn't know where to turn, and turned to a family member to talk to them about this particular situation, who I thought I could trust. And they thought it was a joke. They thought it was funny. This is not a joke. This is not funny. I felt like a fool, like a damn fool. And I hit my lowest point where I just felt like, OMG. There was no one I could talk to. I'm by myself with this situation. And I started to notice that the circle of people around me, no one could care less. Oh, well, their reaction to it was, these things happen and blah, blah. No, 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 no. And I was just at my lowest point. And because I had no one to turn to, I sat in despair for a while. And that's when I turned to God and said, God, I need your help. I don't pray as much as I should. I don't do this as much as I should. I just broke it down to God. When I have these prayer conversations with God, I talk to him like my regular father that would be here if he didn't pass away, because I was in so much despair and pain. I can't even tell you how bad it was. And because I didn't want to do any work, because I knew I had to do this, all this loss, but but this particular situation that pulled me down even more so, and my despair and grief, I knew I had to do the work. I had to do the work because this situation is like, it felt like I was on a Titanic and it was going down. And if you ever seen the movie Titanic, when the boat splits in half and then it's going all the way down, and just before that moment, you know, and that's where I felt like I was. Just before that moment that you go down and you drown, because that's where I was. So I started praying to God, and I started to, talk to my pastor, etc. And I started to do work. God, listen, if you help me with this situation, because this is too much. It was too heavy. And as I started to pray, as I started to ask God for help, He came through. He started to help me and put situations in my life where I can get the help that I need. I got therapy, got connected with a therapist and, bereavement group. And I started to do the work and I started to look at the person in the mirror. Because one of my problems, people, is subservient because I did not like confrontations or conflict of any sort, even in relationships. Yeah, whatever. If the partner is having a bad day or whatever, whatever, just let's not do this. And I had to learn that what about me? What about my needs? What about what I need? And I was neglecting a lot of my own needs because I was subservient to other people. And one of the reasons for that is because I come from a background where, religious setting, and you're supposed to please and do this and that. My mindset was in that way because, of how I grew up. And I had to learn to change that way of thinking before I can even love on myself or do any work. And my therapist is a good one because he asks questions, and what would you like to do with this situation? How do you think you would have addressed it, etc., so forth. And it started to make me realize, wait a minute, I am worth it. Wait a minute, I do matter, because I was so involved with pleasing everybody else, and for example, my siblings would say I'm mom's favorite child. No, I was the one who did what mom wanted because it was easier than not doing what she wanted and dealing with all the, you know, consequences from that. Just do what she wants you to do, make it easy, and then that's it. And that's why I had that particular relationship with her because of it. But as I got older and started to realize that I matter. I didn't really start to realize that, people, until after all these deaths and after that particular situation last year. What am I doing? What is this? And it took everything in me not to fall apart. So I started doing the work. I started to do a playlist of music because my therapist had said to me, "What do some things that make you feel better that you like? That's gonna." And I said music, and I started talking to him about the music and different things. Even comedy shows and things take care of you, take care of that inner child so it can grow, nurture it because it's broken right now. And I start to do the work. I go out, buy myself some flowers, do whatever I need to make me feel better instead of making everybody else feel better. And little by little, it took 3 years for me to get from A to B, but I started to do the work. I had to crawl, 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 and to get from where I was back then to who I am today. And the Lisa I am today is unrecognizable compared to the Lisa back then because I would just give in to things. It's easier than, going through this. Like here, you're doing this with everybody. But if I don't say how I feel, then it's in here and it stays there and it can build into resentment and other things. So I'm doing myself a dissatisfaction in order to put somebody else's needs first. And I had to learn that I matter, my needs matter, I'm worth it. And as I start to do the work and start to do these things and, have a conversation, allow myself to cry, because that's an outlet for the pain as well. As I started to do these things, I started to feel better. I stayed in prayer a lot. I may go sit by the water talking to God, saying how I feel today, because there's days I had a lot of more bad days back then than I do now. And it was just hard, and the crying, and then the loss of my dog, and just grieving because my dog went everywhere with me, man's best friend. You know what? Woman's best friend too. Everybody who are pet lovers know exactly what I'm talking about. So all these losses around the same time, it was horrific. And then here I am by myself with this, and it started to get better little by little as I start to do the work. And Now I'm at a place of self love, which I wasn't before. And I'm in a place that I can communicate how I feel without attitude, without being, belligerent or any of that, you know. And then the most important thing that I learned, especially from my therapist, and even just hearing it in a sermon at church, establish boundaries. That is so important because I didn't know how to do that before. If someone would come uninvited, unannounced to my house, oh, well, I guess it's important, even though I would be uncomfortable and didn't like it. Now today it's not going to happen because if it does, then the other Lisa comes out. Look, this is not happening. This is not okay. And it's not going to be, I'm just going to, really reiterate those boundaries and do whatever is necessary to make sure it doesn't happen again. Because I don't play when it comes to my healing, because I've gone through too much, too much to even mention here. And the work is just, I'm not going to slide back into where I was those 3 years ago. So the work I've done has been a lot, and I'm still doing it because what I am so proud of now is that I didn't let myself sink. God didn't let me sink as I reached out to Him. And what I did with that pain is I found an outlet through tears, through talking, through, just taking care of that inner child, turning that pain into purpose, and in these little stories to help somebody else, and turning the pain into power, not letting it consume me and taking me down. And it's not easy. It's difficult because I didn't want to do the work. Like I said, for a long time, I should have been doing it, but I wasn't. That particular situation, it's like the knockout punch. Are you going to get back up, or is it going to be count to 10 and you're out sort of situation? I didn't want that. So I had to make a decision to do the work. And, and I used to let things bother me, gossip, this and that. Those things, hey, be my guest, do what you got to do. I'm still staying focused. And one of the things that I used to do a little bit is just impulsive things. I don't do that anymore. I'm very self-disciplined. I'm human, yes, people like everybody else, but I'm very self-disciplined. And because the mistakes that I've made in the past, I've learned from them. And I am not trying to make those mistakes again, to repeat those lessons. I've learned from it, move on. So it's important. And the reason why I'm sharing this, because somebody out there needs to know that whatever you're going through, you're not alone in this. I can guarantee you that there's so many others who's going through the grief, have gone through similar circumstances that you may be going through at the moment. So never feel ashamed. We're human. We all are imperfect. We make mistakes, but learning from the mistakes. Remember that song? I think it was back in the 80s. I get knocked down, but I get up again. Nothing's going to keep me down. And that's the energy I'm in today. And anything negative and drama and confusion, I'm shutting that down. I'm going to, establish boundaries. And then if it continues to be crossed, I'm shutting it down. And that's what I do: block, cut off, and delete. And I don't just block, cut off, and delete. I have conversations about, hey, this is not okay. This doesn't feel good. And I start to say whatever. And if it continues over and over again, and then I just cut off, block, and delete. And they already know why they're being blocked because, we've already had conversations about it. There's no playing around with healing because, when you've gone through a lot of grief, and life is short, we're not promised tomorrow. And I want to embrace it to the fullest. And I'm pretty sure many of you have gone through grief, want that too. And when you get to the point where you feel so depressed, think about the Passover loved ones. Would they want you to stay in that energy? I know that's what I had to do with, the work I'm doing, that my therapist was doing with me. Think about your mom. Think about your grandmother, and I was close to her. Do they want you to stay in this energy of depression? Yes, grieve them because they're lost, but do they want you to stay there? No, they wouldn't want that. And so I ask you guys the same who are in that depression. Feel the pain, let yourself feel it, but don't stay there. Don't be stagnated because your loved ones who passed over would not want that for you. And please, as I said before, I hope this story is helping someone. I've been getting comments and personal messages that this channel is helping people, and I'm happy for that. That it's helping people, turning this pain into purpose to help other people. And then those who these tidbits that I'm sharing, and if it helps them, then they go out and help others and so forth. And one of the things I want to prevent is suicide because I know a few people who've done this because of depression. And mental health is so important to take care of your mental and physical health because people, if you don't take care of that, you can't take care of anything else with your mental health and your physical health is not right. So it's no shame in that game to take care of it because these kind of traumas can trigger things. So please get affiliated with a therapist and also bereavement groups because you're going to hear stories, not just my story here on YouTube, but when you affiliate yourself with these bereavement groups, there are going to be other people like yourself who experience losses. And those individuals there are grieving those loved ones. And they are going to probably give some stories that you probably need to hear because they're going to tell what they did to get through the process. We never get over it, but we get through it. And that's what's important, to get through it so that you feel better, and certain ways to nurture that inner child and to take care of your physical and mental health. That's so important, so that you don't stay stagnated. So someone needs to hear this, and I hope this helped them. And once I started to do the work, I started to feel better after the pain and feeling horrific, going through that experience. And now, whatever I do today, I'm going to tell you this as well. I take my time. I meet people, etc. I take my time. If somebody don't want to take their time, then they don't want to talk to me. I'm serious about that because when you start to love yourself and know that you're worth it, you bring up your self-esteem. And when your self-esteem is brought up, you start to realize you matter. Yes, you do. Look in the mirror and tell yourself, I matter. No matter what I'm going through, no matter what it feels like today, I do matter. I'm important just like everyone else. And start telling yourself, look in the mirror and tell yourself that every day. You're going to have those bad days and then you're going to have good days, but tell yourself that. And then write down the pros and cons of how you're feeling, and then try to work on the cons of it, and just one day at a time. Don't rush yourself in this process because these things are traumatic. It takes a toll on your health and your physical and mental health. So just as long as you get started on the process is what's important. And give yourself a pat on the back when you do something on that list. Thank you all for listening. Please continue to share the video, subscribe and like, because people are commenting how these videos are helping them. And I hope these are, helping you. And I'll be back again in another day or two with a new message. And my email address, let me give that to you too. Lisa Vaughn, V as in Victor, AUGHN 410 at Gmail. Lisa Vaughn 410 at gmail.com. Tell me what you want to hear, and I'll just speak about it here on this platform. And let me know also if you're interested in attending the seminar by Zoom service or in person, because that's where I'm at. I want to get a number of people what they're interested in. Thank you once again. Lisa Shetty, love and light here. Everyone have a great day. Remember to take care of you first. Thank you, and I will see you in a couple of days or sooner. Bye for now.